United States. And they would have to have two characteristics. They would have to keep the commandments of God, all of them, and they would have to have the gift of prophecy. They would have to have the testimony of Jesus Christ. Now, the question is, do you suppose the devil is happy about a remnant church that teaches that we're supposed to keep all of the commandments of God, including the Sabbath commandment, and has the gift of prophecy? Absolutely not. The devil is livid. He is angry. He's furious at the fact that the remnant church keeps the commandments of God and has the testimony of Jesus Christ. Now the question is, how is Satan going to try and counteract this remnant people who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ? The answer is in Revelation chapter 13. And we don't have time to go into all of the details, but I want you to just listen to the global idea that I'm going to share with you this evening in our study. What does this second beast of Revelation chapter 13 enforce upon everybody? It enforces the mark of the beast, which is opposite to the seal of God. Now, the seal of God represents what? God's holy Sabbath. What does the mark of the beast represent? It represents the observance of the first day of the week. Now, let me explain that nobody today has the mark of the beast. But when the observance of Sunday becomes enforced by law, and everybody understands from Scripture that the Sabbath is the day of rest, but in order to be able to buy and sell, and in order to be able to eat, basically, and to survive, it's necessary to keep the first day of the week instead of the Sabbath, then those who choose to be on the wrong side will receive the mark of the beast. But my point here is that the devil wants to attack those who keep the commandments of God by enforcing what? By enforcing the first day of the week as the day of worship. Does that have anything to do with the Ten Commandments? Absolutely. And so Revelation 13 amplifies how this power, how the dragon is going to be enraged with the woman, and which commandment he especially hates. You see, Revelation 12 only says that he hates the commandments of God. Revelation 13 is going to amplify that he particularly hates what? He hates the fourth commandment of the law of God, and that's the reason why he's going to enforce the mark of the beast. Now, what about the testimony of Jesus Christ? How is this power in Revelation 13 going to try and attack the testimony of Jesus Christ? Well, go with me to Revelation chapter 16 and verse 13. Revelation chapter 16 and verse 13. This is a very important verse because it tells us the name of this beast that rises up out of the earth. Notice how it is described. Revelation 16 verse 13. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Now, isn't that interesting? Revelation 12, you have a dragon, right? Yes? In Revelation 12, you have a beast, right? And you have a second beast, which is called the image beast, right? What are they called here? They're called the dragon, the beast. But what is the third beast called? The false prophet. How is the dragon going to attack the remnant who possess the testimony of Jesus or the spirit of prophecy? He's going to do it by raising up the false gift of what? The false gift of prophecy to try and counteract the true gift of prophecy. Now, if I had time, I would show you how Daniel 7 discusses the same issue. See, in Daniel chapter 7, it says that the little horn thinks he can change the times and the law. No problem with the law, right? This power claims to have changed the Sabbath to Sunday, the first day of the week. But what does the expression the times mean? Well, really, in Scripture, when you're dealing with prophecy, the word times refers to the calendar of prophetic events. We just notice it, time, times, the dividing of time. In Acts chapter 1, when the disciples asked Jesus, are you going to establish the kingdom for Israel now? Jesus says, it's not for you to know the times and the seasons. There are multiple texts in the Bible that show that the word times represents the calendar of God's prophetic events. So what is the little horn going to do? The little horn is going to attack the law of God by changing it, or attempting to change it, better. And the little horn is going to try also and change what? The times, which is God's prophetic calendar of events, the sequence in which end-time events will be fulfilled. How does God counteract the work of the little horn? Well, He raises up a people in Revelation 12, a people who keep the commandments of God, and a people who have the true gift of prophecy. They understand the sequence of prophetic events in their true context. How is the devil going to try and counteract that? He counteracts that in Revelation 13 by imposing the mark of the beast, which is the same change in the law as the little horn did in Daniel chapter 7, and he's going to do it by implementing the false gift of prophecy, because this power is called the false prophet. Would you expect then, at the end of time, the Christian world to have a law which was changed? Would you expect the Christian world to have a prophetic scenario of end-time events which is counterfeit? You most certainly would. And why would the devil want that to happen? Because he knows that there is a remnant that keeps all of the commandments of God. And there's a remnant that has the true gift of prophecy in its midst. A prophet which delineates end-time events exactly the way in which they are going to be fulfilled. And I'm referring specifically to a very important book, which is called The Great Controversy. We're going to discuss a lot more about this book in this series. You know, these lectures, the first 2 or 3, are introductory lectures. But, you know, when we get into lectures number 5, 6, and 7, we're going to study some amazing things about this end-time gift of prophecy. So have you understood what we have studied in our subject today? Is that clear in your mind? Well, let's review again. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I want you to understand. I want you to understand what we're talking about. You see, there's an exact place and time when we expect the gift of prophecy to appear. It can't appear before or after. It has to appear at that time. Let's compare the 3 chapters, Daniel 7, Revelation 12, and Revelation 13. Do you have the Old Testament period in all 3? Yes. In Daniel 7, you have lion, bear, leopard. In Revelation chapter 12, you have the woman who hasn't had the child. And in Revelation 13, you have the leopard, bear, lion in reverse order. They all start in the Old Testament. Do all 3 describe next the dragon period? They most certainly do. The dragon in Revelation 12 wants to slay the child. The dragon in Revelation 13 gives his power to the beast, just like the dragon in Daniel 7 gives his power to the little horn. In Revelation 13, do you find this dragon also giving his power to the beast? Absolutely. So you have the dragon in all 3 chapters. Does the dragon in all 3 chapters have 10 horns? It most certainly does. And then do you have in all 3 chapters a period of 1260 years? Yes, in Daniel 7, times, and the dividing of time. In Revelation chapter 12, you have what? You have 1260 days, also times, and the dividing of time. Revelation 13, you have 42 months. See, the same sequence. And then in Daniel chapter 7, you don't have anything about the earth helping the woman and the dragon being enraged against God's people. That's reserved for Revelation. But in Revelation chapter 12, do you have the earth helping the woman and swallowing up the waters of persecution? Absolutely. And then